آمين. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I hope that those who joined, I'm really thankful to all of them for their patience and learning first of all, and I hope that you are doing good as well. Inshallah. So today is going to be lesson number 12, Surah Al Mulk, and we will be doing the ayah number 12 of Surah Al Mulk with Tajweed, right? So as far as the rules of Tajweed are concerned, yesterday we did the types of waqf, that how we are supposed to do waqf, how we are supposed to pause or take a break in the middle of ayah or at the end of the ayah, right? So yes, today I have, the topic I've selected is of heavy letters. A very simple one for today, that what are the letters that are heavy? I mentioned in the previous sessions that there are certain letters which are always supposed to be heavy, right? So you might be wondering that which are those letters. So we you might be you might remember them. So yes, these are the seven letters that you see in front of you. These are the heavy letters. We also say them the takhfim. Takhfim means heavy in Arabic. So the heavy letters, takhfim letters, or you can say in simple term, full mouth letters, right? Full mouth letters, and also, another term of Arabic is harufe musta'aliya, musta'aliya letters. So, these are all the names for these heavy letters. And yes, these seven letters, they will always be read with a full mouth in all the states. In all the states mean that either they come with a fatha on them, or kasra, or dhamma, or they come in sakin form, right? In all the states, they are always heavy. So these are the kha letter, the sad letter, dad letter, ta, dha, gha, and qaf, like qaf letter, ghain letter, right? So these are the seven letters, and yes, there is an abbreviation to remember them, which is like khussa dagtin qiyud. It has all of these letters, right? So you can remember these letters with this abbreviation. And mostly, other than these seven letters, the most of the letters are light letters. So whenever you are reading these letters, if any letter comes except these letters, you are supposed to make it light, okay? So these are the heavy letters. And you see the abbreviation here as well. Just quickly see these letters in all of the states, which is fatha, dhamma, kasra, or sakin form. So yes, I have written these letters here, right? This is the kha letter. So here this has this fatha on it, and we say khalidina, like khali, kha. I'm not saying ha. My mouth is not totally opened when saying like ha. Rather, I'm saying ha. For making this ha heavy, we are not supposed to make our lips round as well, right? They are neither fully like opened, and neither there is a like a shape of a dhamma when we make our lips round, right? So we are supposed to stay in between, and raise our back part of the tongue to make this kha letter heavy. Khalidina, right? And the next example here, this letter is in kasra form, right? So the kasra, usually it makes the letter sound a bit light, right? Because of the khi sound, khi, right? So but as I mentioned that these letters, they're heavy in all of their states. So even though there is a kasra below the letter kha, this will still remain heavy. And again, how this will still remain heavy, that even though you are articulating the kasra, the back part of the tongue is still raised a bit to say hui. I'm not saying he, right? I'm saying hui, hui. I hope you can hear a bit of, heaviness in it. Khuiri, khuiri, right? So then there is example with dhamma here. Khuliqa, khuliqa, right? In dhamma there is this is dhamma here on letter kha. So automatically you will hear a bit of the heavy sound, but again the back part of the tongue is supposed to be raised. So why I have written these examples separately, I could just say that these are the heavy letters in all the states, right? But I just wanted to make your I just wanted to point out your attention towards the fact that you are not supposed to make this ha letter sound like the ha letter, right? Sometimes when we, sometimes the beginners they say holidina, like the sound when the scratch is missing in the ha or the back part is not raised, it will sound like a ha then, right? So like holly, like if I'm not saying the scratch, this will be ha, ha. The middle, it will be just middle of ha or ha. So that is why I have written here a ha letter as well, ha, right? So you are supposed to say ya khuruju. You're supposed to articulate this clear so that this does not mix up with the sound of ha letter. Just quickly with all of the other examples, this is letter sod. When we do not make this letter sod heavy, this turns out to be the letter seen, right? So that is why I have written here seen. We are supposed to say swala, swalati, swalati, right? So sound. This is not salati, sala. This is solati, sirata, si, si. This is not seen, right? This is not si, si. The swad will remain heavy even though there is a kasra. Swad is heavy, saw, si, su, suhufi, suhufi, right? And then even in second form when we say aus, aus, I'm not saying us, right? So again, you need to remember that these are heavy letters. The second name we give to these letters is that they are the full mouth letters, right? When we say aus, you can feel that your mouth is full with the sound of this thawd, aus, aus. Okay. The letter, the. This letter is articulated when the sides of the back part of the tongue they touch the upper molar teeth, or even the one side of the back part of the tongue it can touch the upper adjacent teeth. Okay, so the, ضرب ض, رضي ضي, ضو ضرب, فضلي فضلي. Okay, so you are not supposed to mix up the sound with the dal letter. This letter dal, right? You are not supposed to say like doraba, doraba. Okay, this is do, not da. Doraba, do. So yes, I have written these letters here so that focus that their sound that you do not articulate these letters. Instead of do here, you're not supposed to say dal here, right? ضرب, رضي, ضرب, فضلي. In all of the states, it sounds heavy. Ta letter, ta. This is not the ta letter, the light one, right? This is a heavy طالب, عطلت, طور, بطش, بط. Right? I hope you can hear the ta, طي, طو, بط, the heavy, right? So this is ظالم, ظا letter, ظا. Tip of the tongue, it touches the tip of our upper teeth. And that is how we articulate this dal letter as well. But again, this dal is light, and when we make this dal heavy, this turns out to be ظا. I'm not saying ظالم. I'm saying ظا. ظالم. يعظم, ظم. I'm not saying them. I'm not saying them. The sound is ظم, the heavy sound. ظم. ظلمات, ظلمات. أظلم, أو, right? أو. Okay. Ghain letter. Ghain. You do not, like people do not mix up this letter with any other letter. What I have read, okay? What I have heard from people, they do not mix this letter. Obviously, the sound of it is a unique one. So what they do is that instead they miss the gargle sound in it, somewhat of that. So you are supposed to make that sound a bit more clear. So that is how you will articulate this letter properly. When you say ghain, غالب, غا, غالب, غيري, غا. You can hear that, in all of the states, the back part of the tongue is, working to make it sound heavy. غيري, غفر, يغفر, يغ. I'm not saying يغفر, يغ. The sound is يغ. This is a very light sound. Rather, you are supposed to say يغ. You are supposed to make your mouth full with, يغفر. Okay, so the next letter is qaf, the qaf letter. And how do we mix the sound of it with the letter, kaf sometimes. This kaf is a light one. The qaf here is a heavy one. So we say khalaqa. The first letter here is also heavy, right? The kha we did in the first point. Khalaqa. We're not supposed to say khalaqa. Khalaqa. Our mouth will be empty that way. So we are supposed to make our mouth full and say khalaqa, khalaqa. Baqiya, baqiya. Some people say that, but sometimes, baqiya, baqi. The qi is a light one here. Even though you are articulating the kaf, right? When you say baqi, you are articulating the qi sound, which is okay. But when I say that this qaf is heavy in all of the states as well, so you are supposed to say qi, qi rather than qi. I hope you can hear the difference when I say like baqiya or baqiya, qi. So this I'm trying to make the sound of qaf heavy even though this has kasra below it. Baqiya, qutilat, qu, qutilat, aqwamu, aqwamu, right? So yes, everyone, these are the 7 heavy letters that we do today. So you need to remember them. Whenever they comes, they're always heavy. So you are always, you always try to make them sound heavy. Also, you can remember these letters with the abbreviation of khussa ضغط قل, right? So this is all the letters. So let's move on to our ayah for today, which is ayah number 12. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Ta, right? We did ta today as well. That this is a heavy letter. من الشيطان طان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير. Okay, so in today's ayah, you are supposed to remember the waqf that I did. I stopped in the ayah bil ghaib here. Why? Because I wanted to tell you how I stopped here. Rabbahum bil ghaib, and then I took, I just took this certain words from the back, which are Rabbahum bil ghaib. Again, here, and then I took a waqf here on this word maghfirah, right? So, and then I said maghfiratun wa ajrun kabir. We'll see how I stopped here at these words. But first of all, this I starting with the word of inna, right? Inna. Letter Hamza here with a sound of E, right? E, very simple sound. Then after that, there is letter Noon here. And yes, this letter has this tashdid symbol on it. So whenever there is Noon tashdid or Meme tashdid, what do? We make gunna on that letter, right? We make gunna by staying for a bit on the sound of Noon and making a nasal sound like inna, inna. I'm just making the sound of na here for one count. We're not supposed to say in. The na sound will not be stretched here. In الذين. Okay, so the next word here is lam. This again has a tashdid on it, right? So that is why we're joining it with the previous letter of noon. Innalla, nalla, right? Nalladhina. The lam letter is articulated when the tip of the tongue it touches the back of our upper teeth. We say la. Innalladhina. Okay, so after lam letter, there is the letter here, right? The letter, tip of the tongue, it touches the tip of our upper teeth very softly, right? Very lightly. No buzzing sound in this the here. Vina. Innalladhina. I'm stretching the sound here again for two counts. Why? Because there is a ya madda here, right? Ya madda means that there is a ya sakin and before that there is a kasra. So yes, we see a ya sakin here and before that there is a kasra below the letter dal. So we will stretch here for two counts the sound of the, na, na, na sound, very simple, na. Tip of the tongue touches again the back of our upper teeth to make a nasal sound of letter noon. Na, yakhshawna, yakhshawna. Okay, so ya letter here, this is articulated when the middle portion of our tongue it touches the upper palate, right? Yakh, yakh, right? Yakh. Mostly the tongue is raised towards the upper palate, I would say. Yakhshawna. Okay, so this is a kha letter here that we do today in the heavy letters, the very first letter, which is kha letter, articulated from the portion of the throat that is near to our mouth, the upper portion of the throat. And also this letter has the scratch in this, and you are supposed to make it heavy, even though this is in sakin position, right? Yakh, yakhshawna, yakhshawna, right? So the next letter is sheen letter here, sh sound, sh. Okay, so there is supposed to be air that comes out of your mouth, and also you feel that the air is spread in your mouth when you say the sh letter. Yakhshawna, shaw. I'm making a shaw sound here, joining the sheen with wow sound. Wow, why? Because letter wow has the sakin on it, so that is why it is supposed to be joined with the sound of previous letter. When we say shaw, shawna, na, again na sound. Innalladhina yakhshawna rabbahum, rabbahum. Okay, so there is a letter ra here. This letter is from the letters which are sometimes heavy and sometimes light, right? We did seven letters which are heavy today, but ra was not from them, right? Ra was not from them. Why? Because this is a letter which sometimes is heavy, sometimes is light. But here ra is having a fatha on it. So here we will make a ra heavy, right? We will inshallah do the conditions in the coming lessons, that when we are supposed to keep the raw heavy when it is light. Okay, so raw here is heavy because it has fatha on it, and we will say raw, raw. We're not supposed to say ra, ra. You can hear the difference, right? When we say raw, our mouth feels like full with air. Raw. Rabbahum, Rabbahum. The next letter is ba, very simple, just joining the two lips together to say ba, ba, right? We also say this, the ba letter with strength when we join the two lips together because there is a tashdid here as well. So we will say Rabba, Rabbahum. The next letter is ha letter, articulated from the portion of the throat that is near to our chest, and we say who. Rabbahum, hum. I'm joining the ha sound with meme sakin here. Why? Because meme has a sakin on it. So hum. Okay, everyone, there is a meme sakin here. We did the rules of meme sakin, right? There are like the three rules. So let's see after meme sakin, which is the next letter. So here after mim sakin we see a letter ba here. I have written here as well, right? Mim sakin, and then comes letter ba here. This is the rule of mim sakin, which is called ikhfa. And specifically this rule is called ikhfa shafawi. Shafawi means the two lips, because meme letter is articulated with the two lips, so that is why the rule has the name Shafawi with it. Ikhfa is Shafawi. Ikhfa means hiding. What are we hiding here in this rule? Is the sound of the meme sakin here. Why meme sakin? Because this is a rule of meme sakin. So we are saying Rabbahum. I'm not saying hum. I'm not joining the two lips properly when I'm saying meme letter here. Yeah, right? We all know that meme letter is articulated with our two lips when they join together. So we are not supposed, there are like again two rules to do that, two ways to do that. Sorry. So the first way I told you is that we join the lips, but very lightly. The second way is that we do not join the lips. There is just a very minute space between the two lips when we say meme here. So we say rabbahum hum, and then the next letter is ba, so we then join the lips with strength to say the letter ba. Right? For meme we do not, for ba we do. ربهم بالغيب, right? بالغيب. Okay, so ba letter here, b sound with the kasra, بالغيب, joining it with the lam letter. Why? Because lam has the sakin. bil بالغيب غا Gha. Okay, so this is a ghain here. This is also from the heavy letters that we did today, right? So this has a fatha here. So yes, this will be heavy in all of the states. Ghaibi, rather than saying ghaibi, ghai. This is, when we say ghai, our mouth is just empty. This does not feel heavy. But when we say gha, ghaibi, ghaibi, right? Back part of the tongue is supposed to be raised. Ghaibi. Okay, I'm joining again with ya letter here. Ya, why? Because it is sakin. Ghai, ghaibi. Okay. ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة لهم. Lam letter here, tip of the tongue touches the back part of our upper teeth and specifically the hard palate. Lahum, ha letter from the portion of the throat that is near to our chest, and we say lahum. Okay, so the next letter again is a meme sakin here, right? So you need to remember the three rules of meme sakin for this, right? So which is this rule here? Okay, so let's see the next letter after meme sakin. There is a meme again. So whenever there is a meme sakin and after that again meme comes, so we do idgham, right? Idgham shafawi in the proper term. And the shafawi means from the two lips, right? So idgham means joining. What are we joining here? Is that we are joining the sound of this meme with the next meme coming and making them sound like one, right? I'm saying lahum ma'o. I'm saying meme here for one time, but I'm, staying on that meme for a bit and making a nasal sound as well, right? You can hear that. I'm saying lahum. Yes, I stayed here on m sound. Lahum and made a nasal sound. Lahum maghfiratun. Why I did this? Because of the rule, which is idgham, that we assimilate the sounds and make them sound like one. Lahum magh. Okay, so the next letter here is ghain letter again, right? So today there are lots of ghains coming here, right? So we did a ghain letter, that this is a heavy letter and there is a gargle sound in that when we say magh. Also, an interesting point is that just like whenever a Ain letter comes in Sakin form, we avoid making kalkala. I told you yesterday as well, right? So here there is a Ain letter, Gha, with a Sakin on it. So again, we are not supposed to say like Magha, Maghfira. Okay, we're not supposed to say the Ghain quickly. Okay, rather we are supposed to stay on the articulation at the articulation point of this letter Ghain, which is what? The articulation of a ghain letter is from the portion of the throat that is the upper one, which is near to our mouth. Okay, so we are supposed to stay at that point for a moment to avoid kalkala, which is that the sound should not bounce back, which happens in the case of these five kalkala letters, which are qaf, ta, ba, jim, dal, right? This is not from those five letters. So that is why we will say ma, ma. I'm not saying mag. Okay, then the sound will repeat. So I'm avoiding that. That is why I'm saying maghfiratun, maghfiratun. If I say it a bit quick, I will say maghfiratun, right? Maghfi. Okay, I hope that you got this point. Fi. The fa letter here with air in it, right? Fi, the tip of the upper teeth, when it touches the lower lips and air is removed from our lips, that is how we say fi. Fi raw. Raw. Again, there is a raw letter here with a fatha on it. So just like we made raw here heavy, we will do the same here and say raw. Raw. Rather than saying ra, maghfira, we are supposed to say fi raw. Fi raw tun, right? Tun. This is a round ta here. Round tab which we did in the the rules of waqf as well, right? So first of all, here I stayed in the ayah here. I stopped here in the ayah. So you see this word here is bil ghaibi. The last letter of this word has a kasra below it. So right, we did this in the second point of the waqf, right? That whenever there is a word with a last letter having a kasra, when we stop at any such word, we are supposed to change that with sakin. So I said bil ghaib rather than ghaibi. So that is how I did the waqf here, right? Then I did the waqf here at maghfirah. There is a round ta here, and we learned that whenever there is a round ta and we stop at that word to catch up on our breath, so we are supposed to change that into ha sakin. So rather than saying maghfiratun, I said maghfirah. The ra, right? The ha should be prominent. I'm not saying maghfirah. I'm saying maghfirah. Okay. Maghfiratun. Okay, so here again, doing the rule here of noon sakin and tanween. On the ta letter here, you see a tanween here. Okay, so we are supposed to see the next letter, which is the next letter. There is a waw letter here. Okay, so whenever after noon sakin or tanween comes letter waw, like specifically if I'd say the rule, ya waw mim noon, we are supposed to do the idgham rule here. Idgham means joining, assimilating the sound here. And we will say tunwa. I will enter the sound of this tanween into the waw and say tunwa. Sorry, tunwa, right? So the next letter is waw here. Wa letter. Whenever we articulate this word, this letter, we shape our lips round, right? To say wa. Tun wa ajrun ajr. Okay, so this is a hamza here, the simple as sound, and then after that there is a jim letter here with a sakin on it, right? So this jim letter is from the five kalkala letters, right? So on this letter the sound will bounce back and we will say aj, aj, right? You see the sound repeating, aj, ajrun, run. Okay, so here raw with a dhamma tain on it, right? With the tanween of dhamma. So we will again make the raw sound heavy and say room. Also, this is a tanween here on raw, so you need to remember the rules of noon sakin and tanween. Whenever after noon sakin or tanween comes any letter except the six letters of throat, except the six letters of idgham rule, which are yarmloon letters, except the letter ba, except the letter alif. So whatever remains, there are like 15 letters. So yes, kaf letter is from those letters. What do we do here? We do ikhfa here. We will hide the sound of this tanween, like the noon sakin and this tanween, and say run. I'm not saying run. I'm saying ru kabir. Okay. Ajru. Okay. Ajruka. And then there is a scarf letter, which is a light letter, right? So how do we articulate is that back part of the tongue, it touches the soft as well as the hard palate, and we say ka. Kabir. Okay, so ba letter here with a kasra b, but a bit stretched sound here for two counts. Why? Because there is a ya madda here. Ya madda means that there is a ya sakin, and before that there is a kasra on the previous letter. B kabir. Okay, so yes, the raw here again is just like, the run raw with the dhammatain. Here again, there is a dhammatain. Whenever we do waqf, whenever we end the ayah at such a word, what do? We change the dhammatain into sakin, right? So we say kabir. I'm making the raw heavy at the end. You can hear kabir, right? This will be heavy even though I have made it sakin. Why I made it sakin? Because yes, I'm ending the ayah here and I'm doing a waqf here, right? So yes, this is it for today, everyone. Um, I hope that you get some points from the today's lesson as well, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zidna ilma. Allahumma faqqihna fid din. Allahumma hasibna hisaban yasira. I wish and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that all the dear sisters are in the best state of health and iman. And I appreciate that you're once again here present with us, and excited to learn the next ayat of Surah Al Mulk, which is ayah number 12. And I would share with you the meaning of individual words and then the metaphoric meaning of the complete ayat, and then I will focus on few keywords in this ayat. So let's begin with inna lazina. Inna means indeed, and sometimes it is translated in English as verily. Alazina word is repeatedly used. In the first verse, it was Tabarakallazi, which is the singular form of Alazina. Here it is plural, and it is a pronoun, it is a conjunction at the same time. Yakhshawna. Yakhshawna basically means they fear, and it's the plural form of verb. And the interesting thing about Arabic grammar is that the verb forms actually they keep modifying themselves according to the change of number and gender and the pronoun for which verb is used. It's really very interesting, but because grammar is not our subject right now, so we'll just move on. In allazina yakhshawna rabbahum. Rabbahum basically is constructed with two words put together, Rabb and whom. Rabb is the Lord, the sustainer, and whom is a pronoun for they, their. Rabbahum, their Lord. Bil ghaibi, with the unseen. And be is a preposition. Al ghaib is a proper noun in Arabic. Any noun in Arabic that starts with al, alif and lam is a proper noun. Lahum again is a constructed of two words. One is pronoun, other is a preposition. Is for them. With the unseen, there is for them what? Maghfiratun. Maghfiratun is forgiveness, reward. Work conjunction means and. Ajrun, a wage, a reward, a recompense. Kabir. Metaphorically speaking here, Kabir means great, huge reward for them. And now just look at the idiomatic meaning. As for those who fear their Rabb, although they have not seen him, that's important. They haven't seen their Rabb, but still they fear him, shall have forgiveness and a great reward. So this is the meaning of every individual word, and then is the idiomatic word of the verse. Now I have selected few words for you to specially discuss and talk about. Inna, because We haven't talked about this word before. It is used in Arabic to bring in, kind of stress or force into what is being said. And it gives the verse a kind of clarity, or it is used for stress, and it brings conviction in the meaning. So that's why the second word that I have written alongside is verily, indeed or verily. Alladhina, those people. Yakhshawna, as I told you before, that it's a verb and it is a plural form of yakhshawna, they fear. And in Quran, there are different words used for fear, robe, khawf. Khawf actually is the natural fear of the things which really make us afraid, like the idea, the concept of a snake or a thief. We have hope about these things. Then there is a robe. Robe is the feeling of fear that you have because of someone's might, his authority, his superiority over you. And yakhshawna. Yakhshawna basically means the type of fear which makes you break down from within, and it helps you humble down before someone superior to you. And this is the most required or the favorite form of fear that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see amongst all of us as his slaves. We should have this khashiyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this khashiyah basically is a force which forces us to keep away from doing the things which may bring for us the displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah wants that he should be feared, and it's a very positive kind of fear. Like the kind of fear that you love someone really, and you are afraid that you may not offend them. That type of khashiyah. And Allah wants that we should have this fear in our prayers as well, and in all the other forms of worship, so that it is purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is pure and khalis, and it is, free of all show of riya. Riya means to do something just to get the attention of the people. So this is the fear of a very positive nature. This is the fear that should be the objective of every slave, every believing person. And Allah appreciates such a fear. And that's why the verse promises great reward for the people having this kind of fear. So the people, verily, indeed, the people who fear their Lord, this special type of fear, as I'm trying to explain to you, Rabbahum, and they fear their Lord, their Rabb, their sustainer. Rabb also is a very interesting word. In simple English, we say that Rabb is the creator. But Rabb simply is not the creator. He is our caretaker as well. He has not just created us and left ourselves on our own to struggle for our survival. No, he is monitoring, he is watching us every single moment of our lives. And Rabb is someone who nourishes the created until they reach their utmost growth and maturity. So Rabb is the one who doesn't leave us. We shouldn't feel ignored by the Rabb, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah is appreciating those people who fear him bil ghaibi. They haven't seen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unlike those people like atheists and like the rationalists of the old eras who just demanded that they would, like some Meccans, the lords of Mecca, they demanded that they would like to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And similarly, Israelites, they also demanded from Moses, Musa alayhi salam, that they would be believing the Lord only if he just comes in front of them. But the quality of allazina yakhshawna rabbahum is that they believe in a God, in a creator that they haven't ever seen, and they don't demand that they want to see him, and they know that they can't see him. And generally speaking, here in the context of this ayat, ghaib specifically stands for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then ghaib includes all the things which are beyond five senses of human beings, like angels, like prophets as well, because we haven't seen them. We just believe that they were prophets because they are reported to us in the Quran. Without seeing the prophets, we believe in him. Then we believe in the scripture, the overall scripture. We haven't seen the real Bible, the Old Testament, the New Testament uncorrupted in their real pure form. We haven't seen, but we still believe in them. So the term ghaib actually is a very vast term, and it needs, a great deal of explanation and a large amount of time as well to go into the detail of the word and its explanation. So Allah basically is appreciating those who fear their Lord without demanding that they want to see him. And the atheists of today, they also hold the same belief that how come one believe in a creator if it cannot be proved through the five senses, if it can be scientifically proven. So I heard Ustaz Noman Ali Khan saying the other day, he says that there are two types of atheism. One is psychological atheism and other is intellectual atheism. And it is very easy to knock down the intellectual atheism just in one or two arguments. Because everyone, ultimately comes to conclude that yes, the human senses are strictly limited and the concept of creator is infinite, and the limited thing cannot have a complete grasp of something that is infinite or unlimited. But those who don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, actually they suffer from a mental condition or disorder which is psychological in nature, that they don't want to believe in a creator. They don't want to be guided or controlled or dictated by some superior force because of their desires, because they want to live a life of their own choice. So Quran says that even though you have piled up arguments in front of them and you have shown to them every sign available, they won't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they don't want to. They already are believing their desires, hawa un nafs, and they are pushed further away from their Lord Creator by the devil, the Satan. So bil ghaib is really important here. And Allah has promised great reward for those who fear him and those who don't demand to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with their two eyes. Lahum maghfiratun. So Allah promises that Allah has for them maghfirah. Maghfirah is forgiveness. And maghfirah is from three root letters, ghain, fa, and ra. Maghfirah basically means to cover something, to conceal something. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's attributes as Ghafoor, as Ghafir, as Ghaffar, repeatedly used in the Quran, are also from the same root. And why Allah is attributed as Ghafoor and Ghafir? Because He is the one who conceals the sins of the human beings. He deletes them. He eradicates them, removes them from the book of our account as if they were never there when we make a sincere tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we make a confession and etaraf, we talked about this word yesterday as well. So Allah promises maghfirat for these people. Wa ajr. Ajr also means, here it is translated as wage, reward, recompense. A huge reward, the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And about his mercy, the word used for mercy in the Quran is rahmah. And Allah says, Jannat, paradise is my mercy. So when it is maghfirat and ajr and mercy and rahmat, it means paradise. Allah promises paradise for them. And ajrun kabir. Kabir means in a metaphorical way, huge, that you can't even, imagine. And when we speak of the ajr and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one thing should be clear in our minds, that we are not going to make it to paradise through our own deeds. Our acts of worship, our deeds of righteousness, our hasanat, our khairat, neki, every form of good thing that we perform actually brings for us the chances to qualify for the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why we are curious and why we are excited and why we are so determined to pray and fast and perform charity and be nice with others, because these things basically will add to our chances of winning the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, winning the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because paradise, Jannat, is something, such an expensive thing. Jannat is such an expensive thing that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told that even his deeds are insufficient for him to win Jannat, to make it to paradise. So what actually we are trying to do is to qualify for the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for his rahmah. And once you are under the shade of his rahmah, you are amongst those who have the chances to win his favor and win his maghfirah, which basically is Jannat al-Firdaus, the highest level of paradise. So this is what the ayat means, and it's, again, I must say, a very brief explanation. And if the time allows, and if it is one of our objectives to go into deeper into the meaning and study the ayat extensively, obviously we should have more time for it. But basically, your classes are meant to be for Tajweed, so we have to, just do this much that I have tried to present to you for now. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.